Hi everyone, it's Josh from Gnostica MTG. Today I want to go over my build of the CEDH version of Urza Chief Artificer. This deck I'm playing a total of 46 artifacts in total, including creatures, artifacts, and lands. Just trying to get this guy's synergy way off the charts with those tokens that he's producing. So we're going to get into it. The first thing we're going to do is creatures. So obviously our commander is Urza. 6 cost affinity for artifacts. Other artifact creatures you control have menace. And at the beginning of your end step, you get that 0/0. With this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. So this guy is going to always cost 3. In our deck, he is always going to cost 3. No matter how many times he dies, he should always cost 3, which is great synergy for just getting him out, getting that menace on the table, and just swinging with as many creatures as we can. Next, we're going to go with Esper Sentinel. Great CEDH card, taxes your opponents. Not much else to say there. Spellskite, 2 cost. Being able to change the target to him is great because you can just protect your other dudes that you really want to protect. Aethersworn Canonist. It makes our counter spells a lot better when your opponents are trying to play their non-artifact spells and you're just like counterspell for the turn, and they can't counter because Canonist is on the board. Baleful Strix, great card, draws you a card. Death Touch is nice. Reality Chip. Being able to look at the top card of your library is kind of nice in this deck with a few different options. And then being able to play the lands, of course, is nice if you attach it to a creature. Ornithopter Paradise. It's a mana dork, but we can make it bigger with things we have in our deck, so it's a good one. Still Overseer, we are making a bunch of tokens, producing a bunch of creatures, so being able to buff them up even more is really good. Ethereum Sculptor, making artifacts cheaper is essential in this deck, so it's a good card to have. Foundry Inspector, same dish, artifact spells cheaper, cast your stuff better, faster, stronger. Psi Master Thopterist. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you get a 1/1. Sounds great. You also can sacrifice 2 artifacts to draw a card. So basically, if you're able to loop something, this is really good. Making infinite tokens would be good. So he's a great add in this deck, even though he's not an artifact. Emery. Recursion is great. Being able to play your spells from the graveyard, your artifacts back from the graveyard, is pretty awesome in this deck. Digside Engineer. Being able to get more of the token creatures that Urza is making is pretty good in this deck, especially when you're just like swarming the field with them. So her being able to produce those as well is great. Shimmermere, being able to flash your artifacts. Pretty self-explanatory. Master of Ethereum, we played 46 artifacts in total, so he can get pretty big, plus he buffs your other creatures, so that's why he's in here. Lock Shield, you don't always get the draw card, but his first ability, preventing all combat damage that would be dealt to attacking artifact creatures you control, is pretty good when this deck wants to be swinging pretty much every time that it can. So, Crypto Thrall. I'm playing Crypto over Padim just because it's an artifact. I wanted as many artifacts as I could get in this deck. Plus, Padim has that stipulation where, you know, you don't always get to draw because somebody else might have a higher cost artifact. Urza, Lord High Artificer. I don't need to explain why this is in here. It makes the same creatures as the first Urza. It allows your artifacts to tap for blue, and it searches allows you to play spells for free from the top. So, I mean, what's not good about this thing in this deck? Phyrexian Metamorph, copy anything, pretty much, creature, artifact, whatever you need any extra of, somebody else's thing. So that's a great add. Bronze Guardian, like I said, we're playing 46 artifacts. The ward on your other artifacts is great, just protecting your other artifacts from removal. Cyberdrive Awakener. I'm playing this because we run 20 just straight artifacts. So when this hits the board and you're able to turn your other artifacts into 4/4s with flying is pretty great when your opponent's not expecting you to swing with, you know, 5 extra 4/4s in the air that turn. Wormcoil is in here. I love Wormcoil. I'm not going to say anything else about that. Thought Monitor is in here. Affinity for artifacts, so it's not going to cost 7. Probably hardly ever. Hopefully I'll play 1 mana. It'll come in as a 2/2 flyer. I don't get to draw 2 cards. And then finally, Mirror Battlesphere is in here. Simply for the fact that if we do have the Urza tokens, this makes 5 bodies on the board. So our Urza tokens are getting 5 power as soon as it hits the board. So that's my thought process on that one. We played 24 creatures in total. This is our creature sweep. So we'll move on to instants. All right, removal is a must in CEDH. So of course we're playing Swords of Plowshares. Cheap removal, exiles creatures, Path to Exile. Once again, cheap removal, exile something. We're also playing Dispatch though. We have 3 super cheap creature removal. Vampiric Tutor. Being able to search your library is great. Swan Song, cheap counter, counters enchantments, instants, and sorcery spells. We don't really care if they get a bird, especially in EDH. Enlightened Tutor, search up an artifact or enchantment that we really need, maybe for one of our combos. Help us combo off. Mana Drain, great counter spell, helps us cast some of the bigger things in our hand earlier with that mana that we use to counter things. Counter spell, counter target spell. What else do I need to say? Cyclonic Rift to remove the board so we can swing in, hopefully for the win. Fairy's Protection for when we need to protect ourselves. Fierce Guardianship really helps protect your commander. Cannot stress this enough. It being free is great. I like to play all the free things. That being said, here's Force of Negation. Anguish Unmaking, just because we need something that exiles target non-land permanent. You'd be surprised how many times I've run into, I really need to get rid of this thing, and it's got to go, or I'm not going to win the game. So being able to remove something that you really need to remove is nice. That's also why I play the Void Rune. So now I have 2 iterations, if I haven't countered it already, that I can just get it off the board. Force of Will, just because I play all the free things. It's nice to play free counters. And then, of course, War of Invention, to be able to search for some bomb or a combo piece that you need to finish the game off. Altogether, we play 16 instants. And we'll go ahead and move on to sorceries. As far as sorceries go, Demonic Tutor, of course. One of the best black search spells. Fabricate. Being able to search for any artifact put in your hand is great, especially when we're playing an artifact deck. Trying out March of Progress, just for the overload. We're playing a lot of creatures and a lot of creature makers. So being able to copy everything for overloaded 7 seems pretty good to me. So we're going to try that out. And the last thing we're kind of trying is Their Name is Death. Destroying all non-artifact creatures for 6. And that's all we play for sorceries. We only play 4. Moving on to straight artifacts. Chromox, I basically count it as a land. Mana Crypt, of course, we're playing artifacts. We want to be able to pump them out as fast as possible. Mox Opal, same thing. I pretty much count this thing as a land. Mox Diamond, also counted as land. Basically, I count these 4 as lands in this deck. So totally, I'm playing 34 lands, including these. Next is Sol Ring. It's an artifact deck. Sol Ring's great in most decks. Since it's Divining Top, I mostly play top because I do play Bolus of Citadel combo. Mana Vault, you want to power out your artifacts. Skull Clamp, we do make some 1/1 tokens, so Skull Clamp is pretty good to draw extra cards. Or just put it on something you're attacking with. If it dies, you get the extra value. Lightning Greaves, being able to protect our commander or swing with some of the tokens that he's making or protect our other creatures is really good in this deck. Cranial Plating, like I said, once again, I hate to say it again, but 46 artifacts in this deck. Hopefully we can get this thing to be pretty big. Arcane Signet, Ramp. We're going through the ramp cycle now. Talisman of Dominance is our next one. Talisman of Progress. Talisman of Hierarchy. We play Sculpting Steel just to be able to copy anything that we need to really reiterate on, or maybe have double our combo pieces. That way if one of them gets destroyed, we actually have a backup. Unwinding Clock. Unwinding Clock has been great as far as artifact lands untapping on everybody's turn. Being able to activate abilities with your lands is really good, especially, you know, your Mox and Crypt and Opal and Diamond untap as well. So all of this is going to untap and you're going to get access to that mana again. Mystic Forge, comboing with a few things in our deck, allowing us to pretty much draw our library. Aetherflux Reservoir is basically in here for the Sensei's Top Bolus Citadel combo. That being said, there's Bolus Citadel, as if you didn't know that was coming. And last but not least, we are trying out Portal to Phyrexia. This card shot up in price, and I'm eager to try it. I haven't really tried it out yet, but I bought it for 13 bucks foil, so I kind of thought it was good before it actually went up. So Hopefully I'm right. Hopefully everyone's right. Seems sweet. All right, so we play 20 artifacts all together. We'll go ahead and move on to enchantments. As far as enchantments go, this is CEDH, so we're playing Mystic Remora, of course. Draw cards. That's what this card says. Ristic Study, of course. More card draw for our opponents having to pay for it. Seems great. Mirrodin Besieged. I haven't often been able to Phyrexian this card and win the game, but the 1/1 comes in handy a lot whenever you cast an artifact spell. So that's the main reason why this is in here. Smothering Tithe. The tokens are treasure tokens, which are artifacts. Therefore, making Urza's tokens bigger, making our other things bigger if they're bigger for artifacts. So, seems great. Biotransference. This is one I'm trying as well. Creatures you control are artifacts in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. So you could actually search up creature cards with like Enlightened Tutor that aren't necessarily artifacts, but with this on the board they are. So being able to search those other things plus getting the 2/2 every time you cast an artifact spell seems great in this deck, even though you do lose 1 life for it. And last for enchantments is Stop Your Spy Network. Making 1/1s and then 1 or more artifacts deal combat damage, you get to draw a card. So seems great. We only play 6 enchantments, so we'll move on to lands. All right, moving on to lands. Command Tower, of course. All the colors. Arcane Sanctum. I don't play a lot of tap lands, or I try not to, but this one seems pretty good to get all our colors out. Rafine's Tower. It's searchable for fetches. That's another reason why I play this one, but it is all of our colors, and it does have cycling. Spire of Industry. We're always pretty much going to control an artifact, so we can add 1 mana of any color with that. Exotic Orchard. Use our opponents. Mana Confluence. We need our colors. City of Brass. Once again, we need our colors. Underground Sea. Fetchable. Watery Grave. Fetchable. Mist Vault Bridge. Artifact land. We're playing as many artifact lands as we can. So that's why this is in here. Morphic Pull. Polluted Delta. Tundra. Hollow Fountain. Razor Tide Bridge. Sea of Clouds. Flooded Strand. Scrubland. Godless Shrine. Goldmire Bridge. Marsh Flats. Seat of the Synod. Another artifact land. Ancient Den, artifact land. Vault of Whispers, artifact land. Coming into the colorless lands, of course, we're going to play Urza Saga. Great, great artifact card. Ancient Tomb, power out our artifacts. Great for artifacts. Academy Ruins. Being able to put an artifact back on top of our deck seems great. Darksteel Citadel. Artifact land. Inventor's Fair. Gaining life and being able to search for any artifact put in your hand is pretty great. And then last but not least, Treasure Vault. Also an artifact land, but it also makes a ton of treasures, buffing our stuff as well. So that's our land suite. We do play 30 lands. I technically count it as 34 because we are playing the 4 0-cost artifacts that give us mana. All right, guys, that's it. That's my deck. If you have any suggestions, you may comment. I would prefer that you also say what you're going to take out if you're going to put something in. I do like that. That being said, thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like this content. I plan on doing more CEDH builds for Commander moving forward. Thank you very much.